This is Blackgirlthought TV, honey.
Hi guys, welcome back to Blackgirlthought TV. I am Annie Cans, and this is your inclusive source of health, wealth, and loving yourself. I'm so excited to be here for my second video. Like I said, y'all don't care about me. I'm just some little nappy-headed black girl from the hood, but y'all gonna care today. So today, I am super excited to start our first series. I thought it was necessary for us to start with the most important thing that determines the way we behave in relationships, which is childhood. I have heard multiple times throughout my educational process that childhood is something we recover from. And once you start looking at it like that, you begin to see kind of patterns that stem from incidents that occurred during childhood. This is The School of Love. I got that title from author Bell Hooks, and if you don't know who she is, she's a Black feminist writer and she's amazing. She writes on so many topics, and she has this one particular book called All About Love. And I enjoy reading books that have to do with relationships, intimacy. That is particularly my field of interest. Kind of experiencing love fully and wholly in friendships, full and wholly to it, it penetrates your soul. Experiencing this type of love in a healthy manner, that is pretty much what I'm concerned about. So this book by Bell Hooks, she literally says that like growing up in your home is literally the school of love, and I thought that that was so important and the perfect way to kind of start my journey here on YouTube. I am here to get us to talk about deep things. I am here to get us to really kind of dig deep. I'm actually going to give you guys questions. I'm like a professor. And you totally can just think about them. You don't have to comment or anything, but if you do want to comment below the answers to some of these questions, or if you want to message me, my email will be in the description below. I would love to kind of talk with you guys about these things. I would love to hear your stories. Even if you don't want me to respond and you just want to share kind of some of the answers to the questions that I'm going to bring up, that would be fantastic. So I'm going to I've written down the questions, and throughout this video I'm going to simply kind of go through the questions and get us kind of started talking about this idea of childhood and how it affects our current relationships. And when you want to kind of fully embrace a relationship, embrace love, embrace all these great things that this world has to offer you, it's so important to start with childhood. It's so important to look at where you come from to understand where you're going, right? Much when it comes to love, when it comes to the way in which you display your affection or the lack of your display of affection, like it just matters. So she said in the preface, she said, "When I was a child, it was clear to me that life was not worth living if we did not know love. I wish I could testify that I came to this awareness because of the love I felt in my life, but it was love's absence that let me know how much love mattered." So I'm completely dorky, so I took that and I'm just like, okay. So the question that comes out of that, something that I kind of have to deal with and I'm still dealing with, is basically she's talking about how you've come to know the importance of love. And the question is, how did you come to find that love matters? Through its abundance and its presence, or through its absence? And I'm gonna kind of answer that as we go through this kind of first video. But the next question is, do you remember feeling immensely loved by your parents? And this is such an important question because for me, I can genuinely only think of maybe 2 memories where I felt extremely loved by my parents, right? And one was from my father and the other was from my mother. And when you think of someone feeling loved by their parents, you think there should be a ton of memories. But because I was sexually abused multiple times since the age of 4, my memory is completely impaired. So that may have a bit to do with it. But for the most part, the memories of my childhood and growing up with my parents and living in my house, they were amazing parents, don't get me wrong. I can really remember maybe 2 times, one from each parent. And that's so important for me to understand how I literally live out my relationships and go through my love life and romantic affairs. Because that means I've been deprived of this overwhelming sense of love, this overwhelming sense of joy, right? And that matters. So the partners I usually end up with, they kind of know these things about me, and I make sure I tell them So they know that I'm kind of still dealing with a bit of trauma. And it may not seem, my trauma really has a lot to do with my abuse, and I've been abused in pretty much every sort of way, verbal, sexual, physical. But I let them know, like, hey, this is what I've been through. And it's particularly really important that I'm able to be transparent with my partners, that I'm able to literally use my relationship as a healing space for me, right? Because I didn't experience this overwhelming sense of love. And one question that came up was, do you remember feeling like a blessing or a burden? And that's so important because my other memories of growing up, I genuinely remember feeling like I had to help pay the bills. Now, growing up in an impoverished setting, that changes the situation, but I genuinely remember feeling like I have to help pay bills. Like, I have to help. Like, I'm not a burden in a way, yes, a burden, but I think that a lot of kids who come from an impoverished place feel that. Like, your parents are like, that's nice, like I have to feed you, like I have to do this for you, like I have to take care of you, I put clothes on your back. That type of stuff can really translate to a kid like, okay, I'm taking up this space, I need to somehow earn this space I'm taking up. And growing up as like a 7-year-old, you don't want to have to think about earning the space you take up. You don't have to think about kind of not saying too much because you don't want to add or contribute to the burden that you are, right? You kind of want to earn your space, and you do that by not being a problem. And I'm not sure if anyone can relate, but if you can, please like email me, you can talk about it. These are just the things I'm particularly interested in. So for me, understanding kind of the love I felt from my parents, understanding kind of the overwhelming feeling of like, oh, I'm so loved. And for me to have 2 memories, that's not okay, right? Not only does it affect my relationship with men, and it has, and I've gone through 10 years of therapy to kind of work on that. It also affects my friendships with women and men, and it affects all of my relationships, right? Because I didn't grow up feeling this overwhelming sense of love that every child should feel. I asked my friend, I was like, hey, so because that's nice, I get everybody in their feelings, we all get in deep together. I asked my friend, I said, do you remember feeling like this overwhelming sense of love from your parents? And she's like, yes, my mom hugged me and she kissed me, and it's like we held hands. My mom didn't hold my hand, she didn't smother me and kiss me. It was like sometimes she did, but she was pretty much kind of doing her own thing. So, and it's not like my mother was a terrible mother, she was lovely. She's been dead 2 years now, and she was fantastic. However, she was not so snuggly and kind of, like that's not really her. So for me, in relationships, and the next question, how did your parents or primary caregivers, because I don't want to assume that everyone grew up with parents, I want to be aware. So how did your parents or primary caregivers display affection to one another and you? And for me, my mom, as I said, she wasn't super cuddly, she wasn't super like, yeah, touch me, because her mom wasn't like that. So it would make sense. But when I'm in relationships now, I'm so cuddly, I'm just like, touch me. I'm a physical touch person. We'll talk about the 5 love languages. My love language is definitely physical touch. Like, touch me aimlessly all the time. I don't care. Like, if you're next to me, that's nice. Put my feet on you. Like, touch me. Like, touch it, bring it, babe. Watch it, turn it, leave it. Touch me deeply. Okay, pause. This dress, baby, from Boohoo with the little wings. Hey, y'all better get you one of these, okay? I'm gonna put the link below, and I'm also gonna upload a video of me being hella extra, wearing this dress, being cute, okay? And yes, like it's, this dress is beautiful, don't get me started, okay? So, back to the question. In my relationships, I'm really super cuddly, and I'm super kind of like, touch me, touch me, touch me. And some psychologists would suggest that it's because I grew up kind of deprived of that. I really do believe there's a correlation between the two. I asked my father as well, not my biological father, the man who like has taken care of me since my mom died, since I was about 7, right? So I asked him, I said, did you like grow up kind of having your mom give you hugs? And he was like, no, she just started hugging me 2 years ago. And it doesn't have to do with these mothers being bad mothers or anything like that, but it does have to do with kind of how they demonstrate love. So to answer the question, my dad was touching my mom all the time. Like slapping her butt, that's nice. If we together, you better slap my butt. Like, my dad grew up slapping my mom's butt all the time. He was hugging her, he was kissing her, like, and my mom was like, she was that person. But it's interesting because my mom didn't experience this cuddly love as a child. So growing up, she she never learned to kind of give this cuddly type of love. So that's one way it kind of takes place. When you grow up deprived of something, you deprive your children from it, and you also deprive your lover from this particular type of love because that's not the type of love you grew up kind of giving. I'm sorry about the noise. But my dad, on the other hand, and me, we grew up deprived of these hugs and these cuddly feelings, these cuddly things, but it's how we demonstrate love now. So it could be that we are compensating for it, but it's really how we deal with love, right? So that's important, like, to think about that. Think about what you saw from your parents or your primary guardians growing up, and then think about how that translates into your love life now or your friendships, how that translates to the way in which you demonstrate love, because it's so important. So bell hooks, right? She goes on to say, and this is just in a preface, she goes on to say that she was her father's first daughter. So she literally felt this overwhelming sense of kind of like joy and like love, like I'm so loved. And then all of a sudden it stopped, right? And she said, when it stopped, like what, like why did it stop? These are her exact words. At the moment of my birth, I was looked upon with loving kindness, cherished, and made to feel wanted on this earth and in my home. And I think that's so important. That's another question. Were you made to feel wanted in your home? And that goes back into kind of feeling like a burden, right? Because some kids really do feel like a burden. They don't feel wanted on this earth or in their home. And they feel like a burden in their home. They feel like a burden on earth. Like the people who were kind of created to take care of me don't want me, so I must not be wanted on this earth. But I'm here to tell you that that is not the case at all. And I'm so sorry if you grew up feeling that way, right? And it's not because we had bad parents. It's just, especially growing up in an impoverished area, things happen, right? And there are other things that are occupying our parents' minds. But I want us to understand that literally the relationships we have today, they literally have so much to do. They have so much to do with our feeling of belonging, you know? And then that kind of leads into other things, kind of feeling one within your body and feeling like you kind of are supposed to take up space just like in your body, and like it translates to so many other things that we'll get into. To this day, I cannot remember when that feeling of being loved left me. I just know that one day I was no longer precious. Those who had initially loved me turned away. The absence of their recognition and regard pierced my heart and left me with a feeling of brokenness so profound that I was spellbound. Grief and sadness overwhelmed me. I did not know what I had done wrong, and nothing I tried made it right. That's so important, right? And I'm gonna finish up this episode because I've asked some deep questions, and if you think about them, you can have conversations for hours about them. And I encourage you to literally converse with your friends and things like that. And if you want to message me, please reach out. Please reach out. I sound hella needy, right? That's not my mom ain't love me. I'm dating. I'm kidding. My mom love me. Okay, so we already talked about this feeling of kind of being one within oneself, kind of feeling like you belong, feeling like you belong in your home, feeling like you belong on this earth. Like, I take up space, like it's good, right? That's important. And you can ask yourself, did you grow up feeling that, right? Because that translates into how you respond to your children. Do you make your kids feel that way, right? Or do you make your partner feel that way? Just because like our parents were supposed to do it for us, we still can make our friends feel like they belong here. We still can make our lovers feel like they belong here, right? On this earth, you take up space for a reason. And you're lovely and you're beautiful. And if no one has told you that in a very long time, I'm here to tell you that God was showing off when he made you, baby. Okay? So